Well, first off, you just make sure that everything is okay with the stove before you would actually start lighting the fire inside. Just check the door seals, the glass, the throat plate. If there is actually a grate, if it's multi-fuel, make sure that the bars are absolutely perfect before actually starting any fire inside. We have a wood burner here, so there is actually no multi-fuel grate to riddle, so we don't have to check for any riddling parts or anything, as it is operational as it is now. So today we're going to light our first fire of the season, and we'll show you how to do that. I always start our fire with two really good dry bits of wood at the base. It's just something I've done for years, and I just carry on doing so. So put those in and get it nice and level. You can use fire lighters, but I just use yesterday's newspaper for starting. There. You don't need to go over the top with your actual newspaper. Fire lighters or very, very thin kindling as opposed to paper, but I just find it's the quickest and easiest way to get it to light. Always leave a little bit out there so you can catch it with your lighter. Now I use the TP method for getting our stove going, which is basically building your kindling in a little wigwam or a teepee, like so. You don't need to put too much in before you want it to take. Just give that a light. Now you can use long matches or tapers, which are easier to get right into the base of the fire, but hopefully this should take and we should be able to see how well that will go. As you see, as the kindling starts to take, we can just close the door over it and leave it ajar just for a minute. Oh, excuse me. And you'll see how that will create a more cyclonic burn, and a little bit of a fireball should actually start to be produced in this particular model. And once the kindling takes a little bit more, I can add a few more bits, and once that burns for 5 minutes or so, I can then start going on to slightly larger logs. Now it's of paramount importance to have very, very dry kindling. If you're trying to get a fire going with wet wood, not only will it take forever to actually light, but it'll also be creating tar and creosote inside the flueway. Obviously sweep it more regularly if that's the type of wood you're going to use, and also it can be hazardous for chimney fires and the like. A few more bits of kindling. Again, when you're opening the door, if the flue is actually not quite warm, just open it in a very slow and circulatory motion, or you end up with the flue is actually not starting to pool properly as it's not warm enough. A little bit more kindling. There we go. Yeah, it's really starting to take off now. And usually after 5 minutes or so, you would be able to put on smaller logs that would then help to just accelerate the burns. And every time you put any more fresh fuel into it, always leave the door ajar to allow extra air in for combustion purposes, for allowing the fuel to actually take.
It's certainly really drawing now.
Yeah, that's starting to really go now. You can see how the flame is actually starting to take a little bit more of a circulatory motion rather than just straight up. But that's the stove itself starting to really get into its rhythm, starting to draw the air properly. The flue is working properly, and we can be a bit more bold and put on a couple of the smaller bits of beechwood, well seasoned. A couple of bits of beechwood, too big, just enough to get it started. Again, we'll just leave the door just ajar until it takes, and once that's totally taken and the wood that we've just introduced there is actually starting to burn and basically burn itself away, we can shut the door and then start using the air controls to dampen down the stove to the position that you wish to have.
Looks like that's well really started.
Yes, I'm just going to shut the door over.
And that's it.
And that's
simple as that.
That's the way I would light a fire.